Welcome to Books, Tea, and Drama, where we discuss the business of books. We enjoy sharing our knowledge and our experience with self publishing with others. We hope that you enjoy today's show with our wonderful guest
Well, it's been a
speaker.
hectic week. I have a home daycare and
Yes.
juggling 4, 5 kids. It's a handful, but I come to love it. It
Yeah.
wasn't nothing that I thought about doing because I was in corporate, been in corporate. But when I got laid off back in 2003, I
Mm-hmm.
started off with my babysitting my grandson. And
Oh,
so then another lady from his school called me and asked me if I could watch her niece. And then
yeah.
I said yes. And then I ended up getting another call from some gentleman that heard that I was watching kids. So it was 3 kids that I started off with. In April, I
Yeah.
started praying and I said, okay, God, if this is what you want me to do, I need 10 kids by
Yeah.
Friday. And I had 10 kids by Friday.
Oh, wow.
So,
That's a clear answer.
yeah. And so I've been doing it ever since then. And
Yeah.
so, and when there's times because I have a home daycare, it's up and down. It's not
Mhm.
consistent. It's up
Right.
and down because you got them where they're turned 5 and they're moving away, going off to school. So it's not
Yeah.
consistent. And every time I go, okay, God, I need something that's going to be consistent. So I need to go out there in the corporate world. And no
Yeah.
soon as I get to complaining, he'll send me 2 or 3 more kids.
Wow. Yep.
This is something I know that's ordained from him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very clear.
Yeah.
So you
But
said you were having problems with them memorizing or learning the school material, right? The preschool.
yes, even with their names, I have their names because he's always giving me songs. So
Mm-hmm.
I may have a kid and Michael, and so if I'm teaching him, I'll find a song. Okay, Michael, what can I say? Okay, Lord, how can I get this? MICHAEL, and all during the day and all during the week, we'll start singing it, and he'll start singing it with me, and I'll say that spells Michael, you
Oh,
know.
wow.
So I
Yeah.
have like Canon, Kanon, that spells Canon. And so it's
Right.
always going to be a nursery rhyme or something that's familiar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bingo. And so I started like that, and they catch on so fast because they love singing. If you put
Yeah.
on any kind of music, they'll start singing and jamming and dancing. And so that's how I teach them. I teach them like that, and they pick up everything. They're so smart.
They must
And
be
it's
really
important.
prepared for first grade. Or yeah.
Yes, when I first started, I there was a principal. My school is over here by KB Polk, and
Mm-hmm.
the principal, I will go over there beginning of the year and asked her, "What do I need to know to prepare the kids for school?" And
Ah,
so she would say, give me the basics, Vivian. Learn them their numbers and their ABCs and how to spell their name. And so that's how I started. I mean, I'm not a teacher with a
yeah.
certificate per se, but I'm
Yeah.
a teacher that teaches them the basics, you
Right.
know. And
Right.
so I pull my curriculum off the internet and I
Mm-hmm.
start from there. So when
Mm-hmm.
they go to school, they know their numbers, their ABCs, and some of them are writing their names.
Nice.
They are prepared for school, and I've had such good feedback on
Wow.
my kids going away and saying, Miss Clark, you made it so easy. You made it so
Yeah.
easy. The teachers say they can tell they've been in somewhere that learned them something. So
Yeah.
it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah. Wow. I wish I knew you a couple years ago for my daughter. She
And I
would love
tell
that.
anybody I'm old school. So we go yes ma'am,
Mm-hmm.
yes sir, or
Mm-hmm.
yes and no. We
Yeah.
don't do what. You
Yes.
know, we
Yes.
I teach them no. We when we open up with the Lord's prayer.
Oh, nice.
We open up with the Pledge of Allegiance. We
Mm-hmm.
sing all kinds of songs, nursery rhymes, and we play Duck Duck Goose.
Ah. Oh.
We play everything, so that they can have a variety of things that they learned through. The daycare name is Our Kids, Future Kids.
Oh, wow.
They're our kids and they're the future. And
Yeah.
so I teach them just wonderful things. They are their mind absorbs everything.
Yes. And they're like a sponge.
Absorb.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have one, his name is Ken, and he's been with me. I don't have a high turnover. A
Mm-hmm.
matter of fact, if they can if they can go to school and have me to pick them up, they will bring them back here.
Oh,
But a
wow.
lot of them go to school different places, so I can't travel
Right.
out of this area, this district here.
Mm.
But I have Cannon, and he'll come in and he'll say I have him to call Mr. Curtis, not Curtis. And so
Yeah.
he'll say, "What Curtis?" And I said, "No, you're not on first name basis. It's Mr.
No.
Curtis."
Yeah.
And he'll say, "Mr. Curtis." So
Oh.
it is fun. I mean, I
Yeah.
love him. I love him.
Oh. So tell me about this book that you're working on it, or did you?
It's
Is it?
completed, and it's
It's
on
complete.
Amazon,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's Trained by Colors.
Trained by
And Trained
color.
by Colors is part of a series of childhood development. And so
Okay.
this one here is teaching them their colors and shapes. The
Mm.
next one will be the numbers, and the next one will be the ABCs.
Okay.
And so when it came to teaching them the colors,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't have a good understanding, and they couldn't comprehending. And I kept on saying, "Okay, come on, let's go over it," and they just wasn't grabbing. And so I sat there and I said, "Lord, they're not getting it,"
Mm-hmm.
And He spoke to me and he said, "Go get the trains." And I had the little board trains over there, and they were all different colors. And so I went over there and I got the trains and I set them down on the table. And so they wanted to play with them. And I said, "No, not right now, not right now." And so the Lord said, "Sing it to them." And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, "Sing it to them, Lord. Sing the colors of the train." And so I go, "Red and yellow, blue and green." And he said, "No, sing it, Vivian." And so I said, "Okay, Lord. Red and yellow, blue and green." And then he said, "What are they?" I said, "The trains." He said, "Sing it." I said, "These are the color of a train.
Oh.
Red and yellow, blue and green. These are the color of a train." And he said, "Vivian, what do the trains say?" And I said, "Lord, it say whoop whoop." And he said, "Well, sing it." And I said, "Okay." And I go, "The train say whoop whoop. The train say whoop whoop. These are the color of the train. The train say whoop whoop. The train say whoop whoop. These are the color of the train." And so, April, I did it about 4 or 5 times, just singing it with them. And they started singing it with me. And I
Mm.
thought, "Oh my goodness." And so we just kept on singing it. And they started, and I was like, and they red, yellow, blue, green. And I thought, "Oh my gosh, okay, Lord, I got this, okay."
Yeah.
And so I was so excited about it. And, after I finished, I thought, this could be a book. This
Mm-hmm.
could be a childhood, children's book. And
Mm-hmm.
so I had my magazine before I did the kids book, and I had my graphic guy, "Hey, I need you
Mm-hmm.
to do me some trains and illustration." And he did a
Mm-hmm.
wonderful job. And then I just put the words to it, and it came
Yeah.
out so pretty. I mean, I was just impressed with it. But on Amazon, you had to have so many pages, and I didn't
Yeah.
have but maybe 9, 10 pages, and it
Mm-hmm.
sat out in my computer since 2010.
Oh,
It was
wow.
sitting out there, right? Because I'm like, I don't know what to do, and I didn't want to combine the alphabets, and then I had already knew that they was going to be a part of the
Right.
series.
Right.
And so I called one of my friends who have already written several children books, and I was talking to her about it. And I said, "I don't have enough pages." She said, "Vivian, put it in Spanish." And I thought, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and so I
Mm.
had a Spanish friend, and I gave her the book, and she put
Mhm.
everything in Spanish for me. So now the Spanish can learn English, you know, and then
Mhm.
any of the
Yeah.
children that speak English, they can turn it to the colors and they can learn Spanish.
Mhm.
And so I thought, you know what, that's a good
Nice.
idea. And so it's educational, and it's a childhood educational from 5 years old, from infant, because you could start at infants reading them, showing them the colors. I have
Mhm.
she's 1 years old, Sade.
Mhm.
And I just turn the pages to her and let her read. I mean, I'll read to her and she just lights up, because they're listening. And then I'll
Oh,
sing red and yellow, blue and green. And so, I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome. And
wow.
God has just
And you have a
allowed me
beautiful
to.
voice.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I said, and you have a beautiful voice.
Oh, thank
That
you.
helps.
Thank you. But the kids are wonderful. Even my 5 year old, when I first had my book out and I had it on the table in the living room, and one of the Michaels, and he was 5 years old, and he came from school, and he looked and he said, Miss Vivian, what is this? And I said, oh, that's the kids book that I wrote, Michael. And he looked at it and he said, oh, your picture is on it. And I said, yeah. And he said, you wrote it. And I said, yes. And so he turned it and he started reading. So I was actually filming him while he was reading the book. And so I put it on my Facebook channel up under Trained by Colors. And it is so awesome to hear them reading. I never thought about writing a book. I never thought about, so I know it's a God thing because it never
Yeah.
was. And I don't know about you, April, but is God took me back to when I was in school. I did take
Mhm.
a journalist class. I did take a
Oh,
class
wow.
for newspaper editing. Never
Wow.
thought about it until one day he showed me back when I was in school in the class where I was editing a newspaper, and they were showing me how, and I was like, God, so
Yeah.
it's true. He do prepare you. If you sit down and think about
Yes.
some of the things that you did, he prepares us.
Mhm. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Because I never thought, but it was a friend who got me into writing my first book. And
Hmm.
when she came to me, she's like, she started writing in her notebooks, writing her story. And she was just like, write with me. I'm like, I don't got nothing to say. I don't got nothing to write about. And we always laugh about this to this day because she's like, that was the issue because you said you had nothing to write about. Then you sat there and wrote like a whole book. And I was like, yeah. She said, but I sucked at saying names. I named my characters horrible names. It's just, I was terrible at it. But we laugh about that. But it really is. It's so many people that I've heard say that. Like,
Hmm.
God inspired them to write, and I feel
Yeah.
like God worked through my friends and my
Hmm.
sister. Later on in life, it was my sister that
Yeah.
inspired me to write. So, yeah, I definitely, I completely agree with you 100%. Yeah. And I
Hmm.
mean, and look how fast the kids picked it up, you know?
Yeah, they absorb everything. You have to watch the
Yeah.
kids. You have to watch what they say, and I tell the parents, you have to watch what they say around them because they absorb everything. You know.
I think I think the amazing thing with kids is not just with them, I feel like they're so pure. So they're not just absorbing from their sight and
Yeah.
what they hear. It's also on a spiritual level that I think they're absorbing, what's in the
Hmm.
environment. That's why the environment you have to be so careful
Yeah.
about who you have around
Yeah.
your kids. Yeah,
Yes,
I agree.
yes, you do. And they watch, they notice. My car was in the shop, and my 2 year old little boy Cannon, he says, "What Miss Vivian car? What Miss Vivian car?" Because he noticed it wasn't outside in the driveway.
Right,
And I said, "Miss
right.
Vivian car is in the shop." And he said, "In the shop?" And I said, "Yes, it's getting repaired. It's broke." And he said, "It's broke?" And I said, "Yes, it is." They notice everything.
They notice. They do. They do.
I
They
do.
do.
I enjoy them. I enjoy them. So I'm
So,
gonna be
so the
this
go
book
ahead.
is finished, and the next one
Okay.
I'm getting ready to do is the the alphabets. I'm going to do the alphabets. Using the train system is going to be that's going to be something that I'm going to keep in the books, but I'm going to be putting the numbers on it and the alphabets on them. So that's what I'm getting ready to do in my next venture.
Okay. Okay. I like that. I like, so you're doing like you'll have like a whole series for kids, pre-K age. Okay.
Yes.
Pre-K,
From
kindergarten.
infants
Yeah.
to 5 or 6 years old, because some 6 years old are starting to read. My 5-year-old, I had those old books when my grandson was in kindergarten, and back then and there they had them little books with the alphabet or the ball, and they'll spell the ball out. And so I still have a lot of that, and so I'll get them, okay, BALL ball, and or red. We do red,
Mm-hmm.
R-E-D, red, that spells red, that spells red, and so they're learning their
Yeah.
colors, so man, it's so much that we can do for the kids.
Right. Right. I love it. I love, you remind me of when I was in middle school. I was and for one of my science classes. Was it middle school or elementary? I can't remember, but it was for science. I think it was elementary. We had a
Mhm.
science test, and I actually, what came to me was it was about the condensation, precipitation. The cycle, the weather cycle
Mhm.
of how water. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I
Mhm.
actually made a song out of it, and that's what got
Oh,
me. Yeah, I actually got a B in that on that test from the
oh,
song that I
wow.
made. Like yeah, so it does, like, for some reason, putting it in a music, it really
Mhm.
does make a big difference. Yeah, it
Mhm.
clicks.
Mhm. Yeah. I
It
love
does
it.
click.
I do.
Yeah.
And God is so good because He will start connecting you with people that's going
Hmm.
to help you.
Yeah.
He's going to put
Yeah.
you with good people that don't have a problem with sharing information with each
Yes.
other. Because I tell God, I don't want anybody that's going to tear me down. I don't want anybody I need someone that's going to help me to go to that next level.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I started looking, I said, Lord, I've got it on Amazon, but I need to find someone that can help me put it in other places, and so
Yeah.
I had just been praying it and praying it, and then we met when I did the magazine. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
I remember April. And then he would come up on my feeder page every now and then I put in Arthur, and he came up, and I said, "Oh, cool."
Yeah. I know.
And I just
I'm
say thank
always
you, Lord,
doing
for divine connection.
yes.
Divine
Yes.
connection.
Yes, I agree. I agree because that's why I remember. I remember us connecting over the magazine. That's right.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, but there are like right now, what I've done. I have my books on Kindle, but there's another site that I really like where you could put. It's more like a digital book or ebook, and
Hmm.
you can have it in color. But the only thing is that you pay. They don't take any royalties, but
Hmm.
you pay like a monthly installment. So
Oh, okay.
or a monthly fee. That's about it. But that one, that's one if you want to do like additional. But as far as like my thing is trying to get into all the bookstores, or as many, you can't get into every
Hmm.
single one, but as many
Right.
bookstores as you can get into. So that's been
Hmm.
my goal with the authors that I'm working with. I'm trying to get them all into at least have the opportunity to talk to the bookstore owners, see what they're looking for. And then, because in some cases, your book, you may not want to have your book in that store for whatever
Hmm.
reasons.
Right.
So, the other platform you might want to look into, and I'll tell you the pros and cons of it, is Ingram Sparks.
Hmm.
The pros is it goes out to all bookstores, and it's easier for bookstores to order your books through them.
Hmm.
They prefer it. The downside is recently there's been some questions about you don't make much money on your books when you go through them. It's almost like
Hmm.
having a traditional publisher
Oh,
where the bulk of that. But then I think there's a guy that I listen to named Dale. I'll send you a link. He does
okay.
really good videos on all these things, and he goes into that. He has like a ton of knowledge on self publishing and marketing and things like that. But the issue that I have with Ingram Sparks is the royalty is one thing, and if like, okay, so say like someone orders your books, bookstore orders your books, God forbid, let's say they didn't sell and they want to return them, you have to pay for the shipping. Now, I think you can control it where you have your book sold. So, for example, maybe for that reason, you're like, look, I don't want my soul sold out of the U.S. because it's going to cost. You got to pay for the international shipping if they don't get sold. So there's that thing. Like, so you can possibly make a lot of royalty, and then you could possibly at the end of the quarter lose a lot if it didn't sell. So my thing is like, always make sure you have a good market. So I have, and on there you have to have your own ISBN number and things like that, which is a good thing to have. It's good. I think nowadays, as self-published authors, I think we need to start trying to see how independent we can be. When I say independent, not depending on like Amazon to be their only source. Don't depend on one source. I look at King Solomon. King Solomon said have 7 or 8 ventures. And I apply that to
streams.
Because because he said you never know which one's going to fail and which one's going to succeed. Yeah. So
my sister-in-law told me that several years ago. My sister-in-law told me that several years ago that her pastor had said you need to have several incomes, not one. And I have been working. I'll tell anybody, I have a bunch of streams that's out there. I haven't mastered one, but I have so many of them out there, and I tell God, I know one of them is going to make me rich, Lord.
Yes. And you know what? I think it might be these children's book series. I really do. I feel like you're really onto something. Yes. Have you ever thought about how about kids who maybe are, I know it's kind of young to see if they have a reading disability because it's very young, because you won't find that out so much later on. But like I started converting my books to also include people who have, for adults who are too busy to sit down and read a book. Because right now you're so distracted with so much going on. We're doing so much. So, sometimes it's hard. Like they want to read your book, but they literally don't have time. So I'm working on something to deal with that. But then also what I came across is also good for people who are dyslexic, have reading disabilities or have visual, unfortunately diabetes is an epidemic in our country right now. And with diabetes, you have vision problems. So a lot of people, like my mom used to be an avid reader, but she hasn't been able to because of her diabetes. She can't sit and focus on a book for too long, like to read for too long. So I started working on something like that. Have you ever thought of having something maybe later on for kids who have, vision issues, things like that?
That's a good idea. Very good idea. I never thought about that. I do, being that it's home daycare, and I from infants, so I can pick up if there is a disability with that child. And I usually can tell that something is off. I don't know what it is, but I can tell if it's something that's off by the characteristic that they're doing and how they're playing. And so I can say, I don't know what it is because I don't specialize in it, but there is something there, And so that's the good part about it. And my parents trust me, because like I said, I've been doing it for a minute. And so, but that is a very good idea. Even one of my friends said, well, why don't you just sing it, attach a cassette or a CD to the book? So they can put the music in while they reading the book. And I said, that's a good idea as well. It's a lot of things that I just haven't got familiar with, And so when you throw ideas out there, I said, okay, that's a good one.
Yeah. Now that's what I like about the other side that I was telling you about, that where you pay a fee each month. That one is called issue.com. That's where I get my magazines from. But what
Oh,
I
I
really
do
like about
business.
them is, yeah, you could probably do this with Amazon too, though. I think
Hmm.
you can do it with Amazon too, but this one they just make it really easy. It's user friendly, and
Hmm.
you can actually add where there's a button that they would press and it would play like it'll have you singing the song to them, which
Okay.
I think that would be awesome.
Hmm.
I think that
Hmm.
would be really good, having them hear you sing it. So that is another option though, that
Hmm.
you can
Yeah.
add that in. I could tell you, I could tell you how to do that. I'm working on teaching a course on how authors can, convert their books to make it accessible to people with reading issues and visual impairments and things like that. So
Let me
yeah,
know,
that's
April.
something.
Any of the course would be beneficial for me, and I will be more than
Mm-hmm.
happy to, you know, to go and sign up for your courses. It's a
Yeah.
lot. Like I said,
Right now,
this book,
yeah.
I'm trial by error,
Sorry.
trial by error. But if I had someone that could say, hey, we're going to be taking a course here for XYZ
Mm-hmm.
time, I'll be more than happy to sign up for it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
please
yeah.
let
What
me
I'm
know.
doing is I'm fine tuning my process because I want it to run smoothly. So I'm fine tuning
Hmm.
my process, but it's really not that hard. It just takes time. But
Hmm.
I think for a kids book, it shouldn't take that much time, honestly, because
Hmm.
it's a kids book. Yeah. I'm doing
Wonderful.
whole right. Yeah, I'm doing whole novels, so it takes time. It takes time to do it, but yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it.
Hmm.
But I
Yes.
don't know. I'm trying to. I started. I started thinking like, okay, when I first started like the Author Challenge magazine, my focus was, our people, because I feel
Hmm.
like our people aren't represented in the literacy world. But what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like I know they have the Black author sections and stuff like that, but I just feel like
Hmm.
it's still not diverse enough. And then with
Right.
every
You're buffing it. I don't know if you could hear me, but you're buffing. You froze.
okay,
Okay. Okay.
can
I
you
can
hear
hear you.
me?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Yeah, this is exactly why I do this.
Mhm.
Yeah. So now I forgot what I was saying.
No, you were just talking
um,
about the authors. How do we need to? You wanted to focus on the authors,
oh,
on the Black authors, because there's
oh
not a lot.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
It's not a lot,
Yeah, I
but what
think
I've
everybody
noticed
else
is
can get
like,
out there.
yeah, and the thing is, what makes it hard is that I guess you really want to show how should I put this? I really wanted to do it that way. It was about Black authors and everything, and then I realized
Hmm.
I don't know if it. I guess as God speaks to me, like there's a lot more people that need help also,
Yes.
and maybe what I should be representing is just being inclusive, not like we're over here and they're over there, and I don't know. I'm looking at it, but so I've
Hmm.
expanded where I'm looking at. I want to interview Native American authors. I want to
Hmm.
interview Asian authors. Like
Hmm.
Hispanic authors. There's so many that when I really went and I looked it up, um,
Hmm.
Native American authors really don't get any attention. You know,
Mm.
I think Asian was even less. I think that
Wow.
which was surprising to me. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
that was surprising to me. But I guess if you think about it, if they're if they're going to be in their community, so it's probably popular. Their numbers are different in their community than what I'm saying.
Okay.
But this is like overall in the U.S. I
Hmm.
think the Asian authors, and I couldn't even think of an Asian author that what I'm saying. So I get
Hmm.
it. I get it. I mean, I know that they're there, but it's like, yeah,
Right.
I get it now. Like, there's a lot of people, you know, that also need it. So I'm trying to branch out, and I just want us all to like. I feel like our we all have something to say. We all have something to bring to the table. I always
Mm-hmm.
think of it like I think I listened to a pastor say this once. He says if we were all doing the same job, if you look at us like the church is like a body,
The
and
whole
if we're
body.
all
Mm-hmm.
doing the job of the leg,
Mm-hmm.
then you got the other leg, and then another nobody's doing the other body parts. How's that body going to function? How's that body
Mm-hmm.
going to,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I always think of
Mm-hmm.
that way. Like
Yeah,
we're all
that's
different
it.
parts. That's why it's just coming together. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And the
tell me
right hand help the
what
left
are your
hand. I
right?
didn't hear you.
Yes, we can't. Yeah.
And,
So
and we
what
help us
else?
one to
What are
another
your
if we can remember that we are helpers one to another. We are helpers one
yes,
to another.
yes,
you know. And the Bible
yes,
says that iron sharpen iron. And
yes.
where you're sharp and where you're strong, it's kind of like a marriage. Where
Right.
you're strong, he may be weak. And where he's weak, you may be strong. But when you come together, it's that big old link chain that's holding together because both of you are helping each
That's
other.
balance. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is exactly how I see marriage. I
Yeah.
know that's like a whole
Mm-hmm.
nother topic, but I see people. I heard this one thing was guys like, "Well, what's your role in a marriage?" And I'm like, "Roles."
Yeah.
Like I get where he's coming from, but yeah, it was
Mm-hmm.
a meme. I had posted it. And I was like, "No, what that guy had said was right." He's like, "There's no roles." He goes, "If my wife, she worked 8 hours and she comes home tired, you know what I'm saying?" And she's too
Yeah.
tired to cook. I'm going to cook. Somebody has to do it. We got 5 kids,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
not everybody wants to work all day and then sit in the kitchen and cook. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't like. I love
Mm-hmm.
hearing when somebody and he's been married like 20 years. And I was like,
Yes.
yeah, he knows what he's talking about. There's no roles. You
Mm-hmm.
guys it's teamwork. You got to get it done.
That's it. Yep, that's it. She's not walking behind you. She's walking on side of you.
Right. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Mm-mm.
So what are your so I know you have the colors. You're gonna do
Mhm.
the alphabet with the numbers or the numbers separate.
Yeah, that's going to be another. That's going to be two different books. So the alphabets will be trained by
Oh,
alphabets and then trained by numbers. And then I have a safety book that I'm actually working on, but it's finished. I'm just waiting to see where we're going to go and how I can get it out there other than Amazon. It's finished. It's ready to go. I didn't
oh,
go through. I'm just sitting it
yeah.
out there, and I said, okay, if April can do this here, then I'm just going to go instead of me spending the money over here, I'll spend the money over here with
Yeah.
her. So that's my goal.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Thank you for thinking of
Mhm.
me.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
We help us
So
one
yeah,
to
I
another.
mean, that's right. Amen. Yeah, Amazon is good. I mean, it's good for exposure. You just gotta know how. I think you just gotta really know. At the end of the day, you still gotta push your book. You gotta push your
Yeah.
book, and that's something like I'm not consistent with.
Hmm.
I
I
enjoy
agree.
writing my
Hmm.
books. I love yep. When it comes to the other side, I'm like, ugh, we gotta do this.
Hmm.
But
That's that
it's
marketing.
fun. Yes, yes. And I learned a ton. I learned a ton about marketing, but yeah,
Hmm.
it's a lot of work. It is
Hmm.
a lot of work. So do you have a website where you sell your books?
I do not have everything is on through the Amazon. I don't have a website. I got the
Oh, okay.
Facebook channel up, and I did say I was going to sit down and do it, but I was trying to wait till the second book come out, and then I'll have two books to put
Okay.
on the website. So I just
Okay.
I'm working on it,
And so
and I'm pretty
what
good.
website platform
I use GoDaddy.
oh you use GoDaddy?
When I
Okay.
first, I did. I mean, I've used the free ones, but I've gotten so good at GoDaddy.
Oh,
The
okay.
website. So I love GoDaddy. When I first
Oh,
started,
okay.
it's funny because when I first started the magazine, I knew nothing about uh, um, the websites, how you build a website. I knew nothing. And my graphic guy who was doing it, he was taking his slow time. And I came
Yeah.
home one night and I told the Lord, you know what? I refuse to have someone know knowledge and then I have to wait on them because I don't know what to do.
And I tell
And
people
so
this
I
all the
sat there
time.
at my computer until about 2 o'clock in the morning, and he showed me how to do the website. The Lord showed me, Holy Ghost showed me how to do half of the
Yep.
website.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
And
after that, I thought,
yeah,
I just
I
got
tell
so
other
good now.
authors
I just love it. And if anybody asks what you do, I use GoDaddy. I love GoDaddy.
yeah.
It's so, to me, easy friendly, user
Okay.
friendly.
It's great. See, and that's what I tell people. I said you shouldn't really be, to like learn how to do it first, or learn what it takes. Just research. Just research. Even if you don't want to learn how to do it, just research it, because then you're educated, and then you won't. It's less likely of a chance of you being scammed, because you'll
Yes.
understand the lingo. You'll understand what it takes. So like book cover designs, I used to do my own book cover designs, and I'm
hmm
not gonna lie, they were horrible at first.
Yeah.
My first book covers were horrible. But for my first two books, Endurance and Broken, I hired someone to do those, and I love how they did it.
hmm
But at the same time, I also learned how to do mine just in case. And what had happened is they weren't able to do they had switched to another job or something else, another field, so they weren't able to complete it. And I have about 7 or 8 books in my series right now. So I ended up having them do the first two, and then they couldn't complete the rest. So I was like, all right,
hmm
wow. I could hire somebody, or I could just do. The nice thing of learning is I learned how to do it, so I
hmm
was able to say, okay, you know what, I'll just do it myself. You know,
Yes.
and that's what you got to do. You just
hmm
got to play with it. It's really not that hard. It's really,
hmm
but it's good to learn, because now I know, like, okay, if I hire somebody, it's because I just don't feel like doing it. But I know what it takes. I know the value of it. If I feel like they're charging too much, then
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think
hmm
it's right. You gotta know it first, just to understand it. And
hmm
and websites is, yeah. I used to have GoDaddy. I used to have GoDaddy for years, and then I
hmm
got into learning other ones. So I do Bluehost, Shopify. I do WordPress.
Okay.
And what I learned is, when you learn the different ones, it really helps you. So like now, if I'm going to start something that's a really e-commerce, like where I'm
hmm
going to be selling a lot of like anything tangible, I would
hmm
actually go to Shopify. That's the one I
Okay.
use. If I'm going to sell something that's more information based, WordPress.
Okay.
Bluehost is actually works with WordPress. The cool thing with Bluehost is they have an option where you can pretty much have your website up in an hour. Like
Okay.
they have a whole layout thing that's very simple, really easy to use, and you can have your whole website up in like an hour. But then they also have the option where you do go on WordPress, and then have, if you want to really. WordPress to me is for someone who's really into building website. You can literally build your website from scratch using the whole coding. The coding is, I don't know if when it's like the I guess the skeleton of the website, so it's all codes and numbers, and it looks scary at first.
Okay.
So
hmm
yeah, once you learn it, it's not scary. It's actually kind of relaxing to
Oh,
do.
okay.
But at first it does look intimidating. It's very intimidating at first. So I,
hmm
I would say, like, if you're like really advanced and understanding websites and building websites, and you have the time and the patience, so then I would say WordPress. But otherwise, if it's
Okay.
an e-commerce thing, Shopify. Yeah. So, but yeah, I like those. I like that I learned a different one. So GoDaddy was a good one too. It was like I did learn that was my first one that I learned how to build websites on, was GoDaddy. So
hmm
yeah, but yeah. And I was on Weebly. I think it was Weebly was another one, or Wix. Those are the other ones. Those are the two
Wix.
free ones.
hmm
So
Wix.
yeah, yeah. And I always learn what I learned from a web designer. He said, always buy the .com. So whatever it is, like if you're gonna do, whatever, I don't even want to say a name just in case, but
hmm
ABC, you want to do abc.com, because
hmm
what happens is, if you tell somebody about your website, we automatically put .com at the end of it. That's what we
hmm
remember. And you could be .net, or you could be .shop or something. Like, I've seen different ones. And what happens is that person, you sent your customers to somebody else, basically.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that, so try to get the .com. Yeah.
Okay, that
It's just
sounds
how
good.
our brains work. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's also
Mm-hmm.
good. And then I heard from another man who had raised like something like $300 billion for this water company. I forgot which water company it was. But he had
Mm-hmm.
told me have 5 different sites, which
Mm.
I thought was a little much. But he said the thing is that people like different things. So you're having 5 different styles, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was interesting. Another, I always like to listen to people. I would network a lot when I lived in Orlando. So I always save that information.
I don't know. My disc, it just fell. Everything
Oh,
fell
it is. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Okay. Well,
Okay.
that's fine. I figured it happens. It happens. So, well, just to let people know, where can they find your book, and how can they get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me. You can call me, Vivian Clark, 214-274-3413. You can purchase the book on Amazon, Trained by Colors. And you can go on our Facebook page and purchase it through the Facebook page, which again is Trained by Colors. Vivian Clark.
And you're
Arthur. Vivian Clark.
Okay. Yep.
I got to remember that. I forget to say Arthur Vivian Clark.
Right. Right. Well, it was great talking to you, and I
Same
learned a
here.
lot. I love that conversation.
Me too,
I love that
April.
conversation.
Appreciate it.
So, yes, we got to continue working together. I'm
Yeah.
gonna so I'm gonna get. Oh, that's right. You said you're working on it. You haven't done the website yet. I was gonna say I'm gonna put your website up there. I forgot.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on it. I'll send it to you when I finish.
Okay, that sounds good. That sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Well, you
Thanks a lot.
enjoy the rest.
Enjoyed it.
Yes, I enjoyed it too.
All right.
You enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm gonna keep you posted on the next steps. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Okay. You have a good one. Enjoy.
You too. Bye
Bye.
bye.